if you go to the home bit and just let's do a blog banner as a starting point, because that's as good as any. That's what I've clicked on and got in my other tab. So when we get to the sort of more Mailchimpy bit and looking at the types of templates that you can use, you can create your own templates from more kind of a basic level. I mean, I've done well, it's semi-bespoke. I mean, I didn't go as far as doing all the coding, but I designed one from the kind of base scratch and put in all the specific colors. I'd created a banner that was a branded banner that was the header image, define the fonts and stuff like that. But I did use a template as a starting point in terms of, it has a column here and that kind of thing, because I'm not a coder. So in terms of working out the proportions of that, so Kate, does it tell you in Mailchimp how big that image is, or is it more that you would know, you would sort of proportionally pick something that's similar? Yeah, so you would be able to sort of work it out with a bit of trial and error as to what fits. And ideally you'd want to have a template that all you have to do is just upload it, plop it in place, and know that it's going to crop exactly how you want it. So it may take a little bit of trial and error, but that's just sort of the way it goes. So you've also got lots and lots of templates here. So again, if you're not sure where to start, there's some great things to do. So like this one reminded me a little bit of some of the things that you had, like the tropic. It's the same principle, so yes. You could use that. So with this, for example, if I wanted to sort of brand it up, I could click on the brand colors, and that's Arbonne's green that I've color picked at one stage. But you can also pick other ones. You can also change the color of the background. So I've clicked on something, so I could click and change that up. So you can do sort of that, and you can change the font. So if you are going to use a template as a starting point, have some sort of cheat sheet somewhere, whether you have it written down, a little printout, or just a document, even a little Canva, like A4 document or something, where you tell yourself what it would look like, what's your brand. So yes. Have a picture of your logo, list your colors there, just so you've got it there in one place, the fonts that you use, and any kind of colors, other additional colors that you can use, especially like in the context of tropic, you can only specify up to 3. So pick the most used colors, yes. And then you might, if you've got it in that document, all the other colors, you've got it there, yes. Accessible, so you don't have to sort of go running off scrabbling for a piece of paper going like, what are my colors again?
Yes, so you can save those 3 colours, but can you add other colours, or you can only use those 3 colours?
In this brand bit, in the brand kit, yes. I think for free, I think you can only do up to 3. Yeah, and then it says
yes.
So but you can specify other colours within here. So for example, on here, where you can see that green, the green looks a bit gross with that green in my opinion. So you could go, okay, well, I've picked from the default colours, it's really not working, like not feeling that. So you can go and either type in a specific colour, for example, if you've used the either the colour picker extension, yes. Or the site, because you can get, if you want ideas for colour palettes, you can just like literally go colour palette. I'm not even spelling colour palette properly. There's like loads, even just sort of like in images, there's millions. So you could say, okay, like for Karen, for example, you said your key color is purple, but you might want to not just go the same purple. So you could get an idea here of other purples that would look nicely with it if you wanted to. So it just gives you a bit more variety, but also complementary colors can work quite well. I think there's another color site. So there's another site which is called, which is linked to Adobe, which is called color, spelled American way, adobe.com/create. And so you can do the same thing where you extract from an image, so you would just drag and drop, or if you know you've got a specific color, you can put in yours there and you can specify how it would look like to create some colors that would work with it. So what's the hex chrome of yours, Karen?
583D68.
583
D68.
So that, hopefully we can pick some, so you can come up with some different, so because it's quite a dark purple, it's picking, there's different names for different, I don't know what they're called, like formulas. So you've got analogous, I don't know how you say that, monochromatic, triad is where it's on the sort of opposite three, complementary, so that's on the opposite side. So often purples do go well with greens. Compound, shades, so shades is a good one, so that's what I was just talking about. So that, you know that it should in theory work with that.
Which site is that?
So this is color, spelled American way, .adobe.com/create. So that both you can extract from an image, but you can also specify your brand and come up with different things. So you can also do custom as well, where you have a little twiddle around, because then you could do a screen grab of that, and then you've got those codes for. You can also, if you are have an Adobe account, you can save that color theme. But I wouldn't bother with that. Just do a sort of screen grab of it, and or copy and paste it into your own little brand guidelines that you create for yourself. Because
where did you post that code on there? Where did you put
so this is the base color.
Where did you put that in?
I put it here. What was it?
Oh, right.
Have I done the wrong?
No. I'm just trying to do it. Okay.
So what was the code again?
It's 583.
Oh, I put 593. 583.
583.
E69.
D68.
So I wonder if it's changed. 68.
Yeah, so you didn't start with an F, did you?
That's a 5.
5, sorry.
You're not helping, are you? I'm saving this.
Yeah, it's changed it for some reason.
It looks similar.
It's similar, but it changed it.
I've got.
Yeah. But when I started clicking through the other formats, it changed that number. It looks similar, but slightly different, which is a bit annoying. So just be a bit careful about it, about that. So, I mean, it would still, because they were quite similar, they would still work together. So, yeah. So, yeah, you can search for color palettes as well, as I said. So I could specify something. I can, when you're within the document, you can also do it by eye, and you can see it kind of happening live, as it were. You can also pick on the original color that you will use it, like the green, and then I can use that as a starting point and then twiddle it that way. So tonally it should sort of be a bit more in keeping, but as you start waggling it about, it can kind of go a little bit awry. So yeah, so if you're using a template, a designed template, make sure that the first thing you do is change up the colours, that you're changing the fonts to what your chosen fonts are.
With Tropic,
Mm-hmm.
is it just a case of finding the font that's close to theirs?
Does it specify any fonts in the guidelines?
I can't find it. I mean, I can always ask. I can always ring head office and ask.
You could do, or you can just pick something that visually sits with it.
Yeah, I normally pick something that visually sits with it,
Yeah.
because that comes back to that's your personal brand.
Yes.
So
I mean, they give us a lot of, as I say, they give us lots of guidelines and things. But
yeah.
I think making it personalised as well is important.
So just to sort of go back to the sort of homepage, where all my designs are, you can get a sense that I'm starting to develop my own kind of themes and colours through it. I mean, there's been a bit of experimentation where I tried other fonts and then I've kind of moved along a bit. And then there's a couple of client stuff that creeped in there as well. And you can see some older stuff where I use some templates that have Canva and just to have a little play more than anything. But when you start to, you can see sort of further up where I'm using certain colours a bit more frequently, and the shading, it just starts to look more consistent and it's better. When particularly in the context of social media, if you're doing a post template, for example, and your post pops up, they can see at a glance it's you, because they'll get to know your brand. But you can set, what your own guidelines are, but it's just making sure that you're consistent with it. While you're having a little play, there'll be a bit of development, but try not to go too mad. And that's where the downside of the templates are. You can go a bit mad. So with this font, Playlist Script happens to be a font that I use as one of my kind of brand fonts for my Arbonne business. But this font here is not. So I would change the color to sort of match the design, and then you go on to where the fonts are. And this is where, if you know what your font is, you can just type it in. So mine is Montserrat. And then I can set it to that, and immediately I know it's going to fit into what I've done before. And so you can see the difference between what you started with and that. I mean, obviously it happened to be that they use the same kind of font there, so there's not much change, but in terms of you're starting to make it your own. Excuse me. How long have I got? I've got what time so we're going up to 12:15. Okay, so we've got about 45 minutes, so we've got plenty of time. So like, how familiar are you guys with Canva?
I haven't used it for ages.
Yeah.
So not very at the moment.
Okay. I mentioned it before, but just as a sort of side note, that Canva has sort of like limited the amount of fonts available for free, which is a bit annoying. So that means that when you're in the kind of the drop down menu of the fonts, anywhere it's got a little golden crown, it's not available. No. If you had Pro, it would be, but not for the free. Is it all right if we close the window now? I'm starting to get a bit cold.
Oh,
okay. So yeah, so it may be that until you've defined what your brand fonts are in the context of using Canva that fits nicely with your logo or your what you're defining as your brand, you might have to have a bit of a trial and error. So that's where maybe having an A4 document, I'm just like doing a bit of a bleh, and just sticking it in there, have a little play, see what the shapes of the letters look like, particularly for any particular words that you use a lot. So for example,
the new Tropic, we've got 2 new logos. Effectively, that's the sort of the one that's appearing on packaging.
Okay.
But then there's this one as well. So underneath my email signature, it's just Tropic. Like that, in that
so while there's that phase in, you might want to use both of them just until there's that brand recognition.
I think with just that, people won't necessarily realise it's
so I would maybe use both for now, and then at some point, I mean, they'll know that they'll associate you with Tropic anyway, but you can at some point choose to drop
so
the.
Whether that it wouldn't tell me what script that is, would it?
No, but looking at that, there is a font that if I log out of this account and see if I can log into a client one, there was a font that I defined for someone else, which I think would work quite well, but I can't remember offhand. I don't know every single font. It's just whether okay. The font I think which might be similar is Tenor Sans.
Tenor,
Tenor Sans looks similar.
How do I find out what
well, that's a picture, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I used it as a logo.
So if you put that all in uppercase, so you right, okay, let me just log out of this so I'm not doing stuff.
I used it as a picture.
Right.
In this particular one, and the client's name is at the top of it.
At the top.
Yeah. So in this case, you're not trying to replicate the logo, so you would use the logo.
So you'd actually import.
But like, so type in. So just hold on a second. I'm like, we're going to do 2 things with that in the context of that. And I'm sorry, I keep saying context. You know, when you start getting really stuck on a particular word, I'm just going to annoy myself now.
I can't remember which word it is, and he keeps picking it up, and he keeps saying it. And it's so annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
You start saying it, and then when it says it to you, why do you keep saying it?
So I'll do the same here. So I'll change that to Tenor Sans. So if you make that all, so can you see there where there's an A in the A, 2 A's? That's the uppercase and lowercase. You can you can change that to being all uppercase. So that wording Tropic.
Yes.
If you make it all uppercase, and I'm not saying that you would, because it's quite similar, you don't want to infringe on the logo, so you would then pop in your logo. But just out of interest, if you uploaded, got the Tropic logo and just plopped it next to it. So have you got that already?
I have actually got it. I've got it in my phone actually.
Okay, so if you upload it, and we can see how close
So
that
it
is.
loads on the side. It means that if you've got it as a file somewhere, I have.
Have you not got it uploaded already?
No.
Okay. So what does your logo look like, Karen? Have you defined what your brand fonts are?
I've done that.
Okay.
My logo is.
I just
got
got
that
that
one.
one. I completely know what I thought they were.
Okay, we'll just do the
So probably that one.
Okay. So
I'd always been using that and grey, and then I've just uploaded it into your Adobe thing, and it's telling me they're brownie.
well, they're a warm grey.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I've been using kind of grey.
It's a warm grey, so it's not brown, but it's just a warm shade. So yeah, so if you go to text and just do like add a bit of body text and pop that there, and then just start scrolling through that. I mean, if you've already defined it, then you're kind of ahead of the game. It's just knowing what you've used as your font that you need with it.
The font, it's Futura ET. It's that.
It is, isn't it?
Okay.
Just this is.
And is
got a
that
little bit
available
more,
in?
here, hasn't it? Just
I'll click on that.
a little bit.
Click on that,
But other than that, it's very similar.
and then type Futura.
Come on, scroll there.
So you don't. It's not there. So what you can do is, if you want, you can either do it kind of by eye, but you can also, if there's, you can, so Futura, similar font, similar free font. Let's see what comes up. Okay, Karen, search HK. Just try searching HK and see if that comes up. The font is HK Nova. See if that comes up.
No. But
There's one
there's
called.
a few others, HK.
They'll just be a different version,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't. It's not a kind of specific enough. There's one called Renner. RENNER.
No.
Didact Gothic. DIDACT.
Yeah.
Have you got that?
Yes.
Okay, so according to this blog, Didact Gothic is quite a good similar font to Futura. So this is now your brand font within Canva, and where possible you'd use that. The question is if Mailchimp has it. I don't know if it does. So ideally you want it to be on both.
Yeah.
Other fonts that are similar to Futura are League Spartan, LEAGUE. But that's quite on the preview here it's quite bold, so I don't know if it's got different weights. Poppins.
As in Mary.
Yeah. Questrial.
Log on to Mailchimp when we can look at what's in Mailchimp as well then.
Yeah, because ideally you want them across both, because
Yeah.
I mean, failing if you can't find one, I would say probably Century Gothic, if that's available, is quite a standard font that. Oh, okay. Saying it doesn't have it. What do you mean you don't have it? That's quite a basic font. So have you, what about you, Natalie? Have you defined a font as your fonts?
I have, when I had my cards done, the designer who did my cards told me gave me fonts that were kind of worked with them. So I can use them in Canva. I'm just seeing whether or not they've got them in.
Yeah.
I had to download them onto Word. And
Yeah. So it would be good if we can find a font that you can use everywhere.
It would be better, really. Yeah.
A way around it is also if you use Google Docs, they've got some fonts there because they have, you know, it links to Google fonts as well.
Well, that's
and a lot of Google fonts are, not all of them, but there are a lot of them which are available through Google fonts that are available on Canva and therefore should be on like Mailchimp.
Yes. And so the ones I've got are Google fonts because that's how, and then I downloaded them onto Word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So I use.
That's quite sort of simple.
How are you getting on with that?
Well, I've downloaded those, but how do I get that? Because I tried to drag it, but obviously it doesn't.
It's because you're trying to drag it into a text box.
Okay,
So just drop it down and just literally click on it.
click on this.
Click on it and it'll pop up there on the page.
Oh.
I would also suggest that we drag it, the cropping of it. So where you've got that marker there, go tighter into it. Really right into, even more like there. Yeah, we don't want to get there.
Yes.
And do the same on either side, because it's just going to make moving it around much easier. Is it on both?
I have got Roboto, which is on both.
Oh, okay.
So it's on Mailchimp, of which
But
there
it
are
will
not
be
many.
No, there
You
aren't.
clicked on the
Oh.
something else.
It is quite restricted in that
Click
sense.
off the page as well.
I'll just close my
That
Mailchimp
doesn't
account.
need to be.
Try clicking on it.
I don't need to have everything, do I?
But the thing is,
So, I think it's trying to
it's
Yeah,
the
no, it's not,
imagery at the top and in the graphics
image.
and the colours.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not
Really,
on.
that, no, they won't be. Down.
Really.
So that's brilliant. Fantastic.
So what you can do, Pippa, is if you haven't already, make the by Pippa Sloan, make sure that's that tenor stand. And start using that as your brand font. Use it everywhere.
So is this supposed to be a kind of a little banner thing that I then throw into Mailchimp as my logo for the
Yeah.
top of it?
Yeah.
In your Mailchimp campaign, let me see if I can find what I've already done. This is the networking one that I was running some time ago.
Did you want to plug in here a minute and so everyone can see what you're
I'll
doing?
turn it on. So you can see you've got the image at the top.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we're basically creating a version of that. At the minute we're just having a play as to what is what. And then we'll try and make something that's a bit
And
more
then that's
defined.
what it'll look like as a message.
Oh, right, okay. So, but do I need anything more than that online? 'Cause that's,
So it goes back to the plan that you're having, because say you're doing a Mailchimp thing,
Yeah.
you're sending it out on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
What is the topic of that? So you might want to have a title or the theme that you're discussing. You also might want to have an image that relates to it. So much like the example that Kate had, there was a sort of picture in the background. So for example, you could have something where, so if we looked at some of the other templates that are here, we've got this one which is more picture based. So you could have your logo
so
on
I need
here.
my logo to be way smaller then.
Well, it comes back to, is it more
Not necessarily, because I'm trying to find another example. I'm going to have to go into a client.
It's up to you whether you're, so on this case, I would say probably the round logo would be better.
But take out the text that's already there. If I just had it
What,
so
that
it
little
just-
title text?
Yeah, no, take out this and not that Gloucestershire. So just have the logo.
I would
I
say,
would
well,
you have got the logo that's in the round box. So I would actually say, so I'll show you something on
Yeah,
the
I mean,
screen.
I think what I need to do is just to create. a
So
header
Karen,
that
on
we use,
here, what I would do is go to
and
elements.
then if I ever want to change it, I know how to.
I'm showing something that
Yeah.
might be useful.
Like, concentrate.
Right, so in Karen's case, she's got a couple of versions of her logo. One is kind of more rounded, it's in a circle, and the other one is kind of just more standard. Now, in the context of this, context. If we were going for a nice, very pretty image and it's themed, what you want to do is have a frame. So you go down to elements, we pick the round frame, you plop it in just by clicking on it, and then you can put your logo in there. So that will put it in a nice roundel.
Oh, now I get it.
So that will look a bit nicer than just plopping it on a square
can
box.
We just, go rewind slightly. How have we got into that sort of thing on the left hand side?
What's that?
Elements.
So on the that sidebar, you've got templates, photos, and then elements. You click on elements, and then you go down to frames, because your logo is an image. So you go to frames and you click the circle one, but you could click one of the shaped ones if you wanted to. You would then go to uploads. So for example, I'll just put this logo in. You then put it into that roundel. So in this case, the logo's not got enough white space around it, but in Karen's case, because she has got a version of a logo where it's within a round shape, that should fit really nicely in that.
So basically, I can have my round logo sitting in front of another image behind.
Yeah, so we could make.
Which is what that is.
Yeah. So you could make this a bit smaller. So you could maybe pop it at the end of this box. We could make that a brand color. So let's say I'm designing something for the Lewis Foundation. So this particular version of the logo is not quite ideal, though I would do some stuff to make sure that it's not cropping in that way. But we can make sure that we use the right red. So I'm using my little extension, although I don't think I clicked on the right thing. It's not a blush. What are you doing? Might not like it. Why are you not working? Lewis Foundation.
It is a client. Everybody knows she's a client of mine, so she shouts about it, you know. She just has her logo. She's very black and white.
Yeah.
That is her as a.
Yeah.
So how do you put something behind that round thing?
Hold on, let me get this red. Why are you not letting me? Why do you keep doing that? That's not working. Why is it not working? It's showing there. There we go, it's working now. You know when like tech doesn't do what you want it to do? Like, why? Why? Why are you not working? Right, so I'm going to put that colour in there.
I'm loving this.
So
I'm
here,
excited. I clicked on background.
So you can.
What I've done.
Ooh. Except I would say I think you need to have it in the roundel, like I've done here.
Oh, why isn't it in the roundel? It was supposed to be in the roundel.
Something's gone a bit awry.
Something's gone wrong.
So delete it. Just delete the logo. Don't delete everything. So like if I start branding this up to match the Lewis Foundation.
It's come up with the square thing. Delete you.
Is that because?
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Are you in a frame or are you in a shape?
What? Speak English.
What did you put? When you put your
Let's go to elements again.
So it's elements.
Oh,
It's frames. You need to make sure it's a frame.
Oh, that's what I did wrong. How do you get it in the middle as well?
So if you look, Karen, so you just click that, and then you go to your uploads to get your logo,
My logo.
and then you drag it over and then you need to make sure it pops into the right image. I'm not showing it. Sometimes it can be a bit fiddly to get it to pop into the right bit.
You saw that. Why did it do that? Is it because it's square?
It shouldn't make a difference. It's just because you're not waggling it around properly.
It's just it's just
waggling it around.
It's just
Waggling it
it can be a bit
okay.
tricky. It can try and pop to other things. It's just a bit fiddly. You know, but you've got it in there now, so that means you can copy and paste that into another template, or you can use this as a basis. So what I would suggest you do is part of like the whole planning is that you can copy. So once you've created your design, so let's say we could put Pamper Day, and then I go to photos. So I'll show you pixels in real time. So let's put in Pamper, switch it, nails. There we go. So if I pop in this image into there, so again, you're sort of looking at, well, what's the context of this? Is this going to work? So that's something to consider, that some images are going to be a bit more generic and more background and will work. But if you've got something where you've got a theme like that, you want to make sure that it works. So we might choose to take all these elements and bring it down a bit. It might be that you have it coming off one of the edges. So maybe you have it there. If we ungroup that, so we can move the text over. You can also, what text bit? So you want to add a bit of text. So if you want to add some text, go to text on the sidebar, and you can add a heading, subheading, a little bit of body text. They've also got various font combinations. So if you need like ideas, but again, from like a sizing point of view or styling, you need to make sure it's following your own brand guidelines. Now I'm going to show you something fancy here. So you can add filters to your images. What's going on? Oh, okay, just because I clicked on it, I was like, oh. So you can add filters. So you can have a little play. So I could pick something that maybe works better with it. You can make it grayscale. So this is going to be part of helping you to build a sort of that brand consistency.
Yeah.
So if you were to pick a particular filter that fits in nicely, so for example with you, Natalie, because you've got quite blues in your images, in your logo, maybe having a kind of blue tint might be quite nice, or maybe it might be too dull, I don't know, but you can play around with the intensity of it.
Oh yeah.
So you can waggle that about, technical term there. But you can also customize it further. So by clicking whilst you're still in the image and go to adjust, you can also play around with the various settings there. So if you feel like it needs a bit of work. So with Tropic, for example, you might want to boost the saturation on an image. So if we go to filter and have none, go to adjust, maybe it's that you're not kind of going, you don't want like something that might make it a bit flat, but you might want to just go, I'm just going to boost the colors a little bit more. So they're not too cartoony, but they're really vibrant and fresh. So particularly if you're maybe using some of your own images that, you know, the lighting wasn't that great, you can adjust it within here whilst you're playing with the design and the context. You can also change the tint, so you can play around with that.
Where's this?
This is if you're, you have to be clicked on the image. So if you're clicked on the image,
at the top it says filter and adjust. Yeah, not leave it.
There it is.
Now, word of warning: if you've got a
Click on that.
you can't put a filter on
Actually understand.
things
Yeah,
within a in a frame, a shaped frame. So if it's in a like a standard box, you know, where you just literally
So I
pop it on the
couldn't
page.
fiddle around with the logo. one I've
No,
just done.
because it's in
that's
around
what
a
I do.
yeah. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to, but you yeah.
If for argument's sake you put your image in there, your image would be your image. Is that what you're saying?
Although I
Yeah.
think that's in the
Yeah.
background rather than the image.
Yes.
But yeah, so now you've got your filter.
Oh, I see. Yes.
I like that. So all my blog post headers or mailing headers could all have the same filter on them. And it would make
Yep.
all of it
Yep.
that.
And you would also, once you've agreed on your own sort of style that you've designed for this, just trying to find, there's a font that I want to use. I'm sure it begins with C. Ah, there we go. Oh, I love it when I can. Yes, I knew I remembered it. So, so once you sort of decided that this is the style now, I mean, you can move it along to what you want, but you know, you're wanting to sort of consider what it would look like. You'd have your theme, for example, the topic, the title. So you can copy this page, but before you do that, you can also change the page title. So you could put, this is going to be my December 2019 one, and it's all about pampering. So what that means is when you go to download it and you want to select just the one page, it remembers that name, so you know what it is. So you could just download that specific one if you're not doing a big batch of them. It just makes life easier for you. So you can copy the page and it just duplicates that exactly. So another theme could be stress. We can go to photos, plop in that there, and because it's already got a filter, it remembers the filter, and so it does it there. So I'm going to delete those because I don't need them now. Quite nice to work with this one. Now on here with Canva, for some reason it doesn't have drop shadows, or if there is drop shadows, I don't know where they are and haven't found them. There is a way of cheating. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to put that to the edges because I don't. So what you can do is, so on this design, because I've got a roundel and then a square bit, I'm going to go to elements, and instead of frames, this time you want to click on shape. So you want the circle and you want the square, because we got these shapes. I'm going to make them back. Bear with. And then I'm going to make them transparent.
You can't do that on the free one.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. You can, because I'm in.
I told you that I couldn't. It had a crown on it.
On what?
On the transparent.
Right.
Well, I'm on
Use that,
free.
The little checkerboard thing next to the.
You can't save transparencies. So if you were creating your own logo or some sort of graphic where you need a transparent background for whatever reason, you can't download it for that, but you can make elements semi-transparent. You can also specify, so on the square, I quite like the shading of that. So that's 40, it shows it here how much it is. So I'm going to make my little circle the same. So that's where you go. You can type it in or copy it in there. So they're both now the same shading. So I'm now going to toggle it and size it up so it's the same sort of size. I might make it so it's just slightly bigger and over the top of it. And then I'm going to do the same for this bit. And then what you do is you position it so you send it backwards so it sits behind the objects. You do the same for the other one if you've got two like I have, or you can just send it to back. I might do it so it's actually that. So you want to play with the ordering, so I think that looks better. So I've kind of cheated a drop shadow. You can offset them slightly, so you could tap them down a bit.
So was that started out as a circle and a square?
Yes, and I just
shape or frame?
their shape. It has to be a shape. So you could. Oop, that's not the one I wanted.
How did you get going back a bit? You've got the Lewis Foundation thing and you've got the Pamper Day. How did they start out? Did they start out as a shape?
So the Lewis Foundation is a frame because
a
frame like we did with yours, but this red block is just a shape.
Okay.
Because it's just literally a red box. It wouldn't contain any image or anything. It's just a block. So the shape that we made black and semi-transparent to kind of create the effect of a shadow is also a shape, not a frame. A frame is what you would put a picture into.
Okay.
So you can sort of cheat a sort of look of perspective by tapping that down a bit and like off centering it a bit, sort of either way. If you wanted it to be sort of, if you're thinking about an object that would be sat on a table and you've got a light focused on it, where the shadow sits is affected by where the light hits it. So you could have it so it's quite flat on. It's kind of up to you with what looks better in the context. I mean, you don't have to have it black. You could have it a colour, for example. So if you've got, if you're not going for, say, a black and white image, but a colourful image, maybe you'd want it to be a green or a dark purple, for example. You might, as part of when we were looking at the shades that that looked nicely with your purple, if you picked the really darkest purple, you could use that for your shadows rather than black, and it would just be softer. So it would still give you that feeling of depth there. Because if you look at the difference between this one and then the one above, it just lifts it a little bit, just helps it sort of sitting against that. I mean, you could do it that instead of it being a drop shadow, that you do it that it's maybe a white outline, like that instead, and it could be semi-transparent or it could be solid. I mean, in terms of the shapes, there are some shapes which do also have outlines, but you don't necessarily have the control over the thickness of it. It kind of, so we could create the same, well, you wouldn't be able to have that semi-transparent kind of outline if it was integrated with that. It's like there's so many different ways to skin a cat, basically. You can do all sorts with it.
So how do I make the background of a shape sort of just plain white?
Let's have a look.
Where's that? So I was just trying to come out with just a nice basic template that I could keep using, and then I can put different headings into that. So I found this marbly background which I quite like. Yeah. I've got my logo and I've got this bit for So that's,
So just click on that coloured bit there,
oh, it's,
and then click white, and then it's
and then that will be the same as that.
Yeah.
See that? I quite like that because it's nice and clean.
So I'd make you text your special purple, and I'd also make sure it's the font. So you've got your brown colour, so you can make it purple, or you could make it green if you wanted to, and then you can and you just type in. Now you know that that's the right kind of font. I would say that, so with the marble, is that you saying that that's, apart from obviously coming up with a theme or, you know, your title, is that you done? Because at the moment that white against the pale marble there's not enough contrast.
No,
it's a bit lost.
It is a bit.
So you either need to do with like what I just showed you with creating a bit of a drop shadow on it, or you pick a background or picture that you put into it that's got more contrast. It's too white.
It's too boring.
I didn't say boring. It's just too white. There's just literally not enough contrast there. So if you clicked off the logo.
So, well, I quite like that bit and that bit.
Okay, so just try some of the other pictures, or go to photos and type in like what. Go to photos.
I've got quite a lot of here.
Okay.
These are ones I've already loaded.
Yeah, so you can just put one of them. So if you delete that or undo, if you drag it over and try and pop it into there, you can have it as part of the background. With a bit of a lag. No, we don't want it in there. Okay, we'll just let it just sit on the side there and then move it in place, and you just have to resize it.
Oh,
that's fine, just make it big so that it undo. So click on the image and then just drag that up. You can pull the sides there as well. Bring it down from the top of it. I mean, if you wanted, you could show some of the marble and have it as a strip of image. I have a few layers of things if you wanted to. Now go to position at the top, position, and go send it to back. Just send it to back because you want it not two back.
Oh, two back, sorry.
So that's now in the background. So it's not set as the background image as a background, but it is in the background. So you've now got a bit more.
That would work for. Can you save these on here?
It's automatically saved.
Okay.
Don't forget to name your.
How do you give it
document.
a name?
So I'll show you up here. So it's picking up on the name of one of the templates, I think, that, or you know. So if I put Lewis Foundation, gluten-free Foundation blogs, and then so here I can change that. So if I say that could be January 2020 and stress, so you can name individual pages to relate to what you're talking about, and that means that when it comes to downloading it, it makes life easier. Another useful feature.
Where am I doing that?
If you click at where it says page 1,
At the top of, right at the top corner of the picture.
just above the picture or page itself, and just sort of click on it, and you should be able to start typing it.
I'm being thick.
Where?
No.
Okay, what you
Joanna
need to do is add a new page.
I've managed to do that.
I like that.
Okay.
It's a nice
So if you can't see,
Oh,
it's
right,
because you've only
okay.
got one page. So if you add a new page, then you'll get that feature to be able to name it.
Yeah, I know. That's all. I'll do some.
Oh right. Okay. I thought you were kind of being lost because you like it.
No. Come on. I didn't know about that. This is a good tip.
So another thing to do is I would put the most, the latest version or the most recent one at the top. So I would toggle it at the top. So at the moment we've got December and then January. I would have it in reverse. So you can actually move that up by, at the top you've got just above, you can move that up. So you can order it. So any newer ones that you do, you keep at the top, and then as you would scroll down, you would see your older
Can I
headings.
ask you a really simple question? I'm sure I think it's simple. Why has my logo got a bit sort of chopped off it?
Because you possibly cropped in the box a bit.
I've tried to bring the box out.
I would just click it like that and not have it within an image.
Right.
You put it in a frame. You
Yeah.
didn't really need to.
Okay, so just rotate.
It was just not. Oh, I didn't like it. You didn't need to be though.
How do I want to copy that little bannery thing that I've made,
Yeah.
and I want to use it again. So,
Your best bet in this case is probably actually to duplicate the whole page. So delete this page, go up and go duplicate, and that just copies the whole thing.
fantastic.
So now you can start populating it and changing it.
So now I can.
So you could
change
put a
the
picture.
background.
Yeah, you could put a different picture, but you should be able to, if you undo that. If you take the picture you wanted to add in, let's see if we can pop it in. So is it whichever one you want?
Just being silly with
It doesn't matter.
any
So
other
doing the
thing.
drag and try and pop it in.
Okay,
See if it works now.
just let go.
No, it should sort of, like it was doing it with that, it should
Right, why is
kind
it
of go
twisted?
in. So that's putting it in the... So for whatever reason, maybe there's a bit of a lag with sort of connecting to the internet or something, or the device. So it may well be that each time you just have to delete that background image. So delete that, delete that.
Am I in the right place?
Yep. That's fine. And then you can just put a new picture behind and just resize it. It's a little bit, it's easier if you... And then you can just size it. I would have it so the edges are pretty close to it, because it just means that you can move things about as you need. It could be slightly over. if you
Better
need
to
to.
be over than under.
Yeah, especially if it's a bit
And
fiddly.
then, where was it? Position.
And you just send it back. And it's there.
Oh,
What about you, Natalie?
right in the middle of
Really
my
get-
snowman's face.
I don't. Yeah, I think black and white-ish works.
Yeah.
If I put the colour in
Mhm.
there. And I'm thinking about doing some blogging stuff. So
Mhm.
it's yeah, I like the idea of having lots of them
Yeah.
and then playing around with.
But it's being
Keeping
consistent
them-
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Can I
you.
ask you another question?
Yeah.
So it's just something different.
Yeah.
If I want to create like a thing with say all of these in a row, how do I do that? So as to
That would be my winter newsletter.
or in a blog so that I can actually put the ones which in.
She's doing it now.
Go to element. Grid. How many are there? Is there?
There's the ethical shopping, the carbon neutral, the leaf and bunny, the vegan. Think four. Well, I could just try it. Four.
Okay. they're already spaced out. We'll make them sort of square. We go to upload. In any particular order?
Doesn't matter for this purpose.
Something's been
Because I'm just
from the account.
remembering what page it is.
£57.
Because we have quite a lot of images, and on Mailchimp sometimes you just want to have like a row, you know, 2 or 3 in a row, rather than have each one individually. Good bunny. Yeah. That's my laptop. It's thinking about it. Oh. Okay.
Just being a bit patient. It's not just yours, Karen.
Oh God, I think it's just slow internet.
It's either a bit of the device or the internet. There's a bit of both. Okay, so you've got that there, and because that's a block, they're all evenly spaced and they're grouped together.
Yes.
So if you move them around, you can now copy that. So Control C, and if you had another. So if we just say Facebook post, for example. It loads up. You should be able to copy it from that tab and paste it into here. So it's there.
Right.
So now that you've got it there, so what you could do is save this as make a copy.
Yeah.
And call this certificate logos or something, whatever you want to call it. Delete all the other bits from there and just have this page. So get rid of that. So you've only got that.
Yes.
Call it something you know, so that when you go to your
Yes.
home, it's there, and that means you can copy it and paste it anywhere within Canva. So you can remove. Well, I don't know if you're going to use that in your header for this purpose.
Yes. What I was thinking there, because I've done a sort of
Okay, so we'll just delete that page and we'll just keep this to being all about those blog headings.
Yes.
And then you can rename that, and then you like I showed you, you can just
Yes.
copy and paste it into
Agitations.
So it's kind of lunchtime now, as according to our schedule. We've had a good old play.
Thank you.
So I shall stop the share.
I've just clicked on resize and it says, oh, that's just